would love to get your thoughts on hiring a service advisor, and what do you look for when hiring a service advisor?
Well, you ask a multifaceted question there. Lots of things. So first and foremost is don't be confused by gender or experience. I call them dragon slayers, and I know Lucas and I believe David's been through service writer school. So if you've been through our service writer school, I call you dragon slayers. And some of my best dragon slayers are young females that came outside the industry. I don't necessarily need a service advisor that knows everything there is about car repair. I need them to understand people and to be able to talk to people and not have to be in control of everything. So the thing that I'm looking for in my interview process and my hiring process is the right personality. And I get a lot of them from the hospitality industry. They understand customer service. They know how to solve problems. So I think that's the mistake a lot of us make, is we're looking for an automotive genius, and we have those already. See, if I was your service writer, Lucas, and I needed a technical question answered, how many people in your shop could answer a technical question for me?
Quite a few.
Right. So what I need to do is be able to convince you and get you to trust me, to buy from me, and that I'm there to help you and take care of you, not take your money. So it's a fine line. And I'm a big believer in testing before I hire somebody. So I have what I call a skills test. Silly questions, but it gives me an idea how that person thinks. They all take a math test because they are going to be dealing with money. But the big key to hiring somebody is the interview process, the right questions to ask. And most of us don't do it often enough to be good at it, so we really get befuddled by it, if you will.
So how do you approach the interview process then?
Well, I bring them in. I want to look at their resume. I have them fill out an application in front of me so I know they can read and write, and they're doing it themselves. And then I give them a test, and I have them take the math test, and I have them take the skills test. And then I just sit down and talk with them. And I ask for their customer service experience. I might throw a question out, such as, a customer just had their car in last week. They come in today, and they're angry because it's doing exactly the same thing it did last time. And you just worked on my car. How would you handle that? Tell me how you would handle that customer. And I'm not looking for right or wrong answers. I'm looking for a thought process, how they think. And it's a personality thing. It's not a knowledge thing. It's just how they feel about it. Do they take it personally? Do they get angry? Do they get defensive? How can they build trust? And I'll even ask them, build trust with me right now. And then I let them talk. Our biggest question or our biggest problem in interviewing people, in my opinion, is we talk too much about us and our shops and not enough about them and their skills. So the old adage of ask a question and shut up really works here.
So is this like several interviews, or is it just one really long one? Or do you maybe do a preliminary interview and then vet them essentially, and then bring them in for a much longer, maybe hour, 2-hour interview?
When they apply for the job, if I call them in for an interview, I tell them they need to have 2 hours. Because by the time they test in front of me, fill the application out, do all of those things, and then I want to schedule this so I'm uninterrupted so I can spend time with them. And I think you can learn a lot. I could learn a lot about your personality in an hour. The problem with multiple interviews and too long a time is they're going to find a job.
Yeah.
The good ones. So it's kind of compressed, but I want to make sure I have time, because the more interruptions you get, the less the interview works. Yep. So, and again, everybody's got to figure this out for themselves, how they're going to make it work, how they're going to do it. And then stick to a program where everybody gets interviewed the same way. We ask the same interview questions. We do everything the same way. So we're comfortable doing it. Like, you have to be as comfortable with what you're talking about.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I like that. And so we have a very carefully selected series of questions designed around the type of person that we're looking for. So I do something very similar in that I give them a scenario but I also give them the type of behavior that I'm looking for.
Okay.
I need somebody level-headed, and then I lay out the scenario. Somebody comes in, we just worked on their car, they're very upset, and then I ask them for a time where they were able to deal with something that's similar. Doesn't need to be exact, but I ask them give me a time when you had to deal with a very difficult customer. You hadn't done anything wrong, but they were very, very upset. How did you diffuse the situation? How did you retain the customer? And then you just dig in from there. And that can end up being 10, 15 minutes discussing that particular scenario, that story. And you end up getting a lot of information from that. So yeah, that's, but I completely agree with having consistency in your questioning. You conduct the interviews pretty much the same way in a certain manner. You're much more comfortable with the process if you have a process. I think a lot of people get concerned with the whole interview process and just doing it in general because they don't have anything set in place,
Right.
and so they're having to wing it. They've never done it.
One of the things that I recommend is you actually have a list of questions you ask, so you don't have to remember them.
Yeah.
We also need to talk about the 5,000-pound elephant in the room, and that's the hiring laws. Every state's a little different.
Yeah.
Is if you are consistent in your approach to this, it's really hard for somebody to say that you discriminated against them or you treated them differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's the other side. There's so many legalities nowadays of being in business that the more consistent you are, the more process and procedure you has, the less chance there is for problems.